An active weather pattern with flooding and tornadoes is here to close out 2024, but things are going to change as we push into 2025. This video has all the details on the near-term weather and all those changes ahead right here. I hope everybody has had a Merry Christmas, but let's go ahead and jump right into this future radar overview with our European model so that you can see what is coming as we close out December and head even towards 2025. First of all here, going through our Thursday, December 26th of 2024, this is going to be one of the quieter of the last several days of December as we've only got a couple areas to watch. But that being said, some of the areas we're going to have to watch are going to be particularly intense, just like this one I'm circling. Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana with a low pressure system coming out of the Rockies and moving down here into the south central United States. There's well have the potential for some flooding and severe weather in these states, especially around the border of the Ark-La-Tex region there. I'll be breaking down that severe weather potential more in detail here in a few moments, but for overview's sake, let's also talk about what's going on out west as we close out this week, Thursday, heading into Friday. This consistent flow of rain in the lower elevations and snow as you push up in elevation here in the west is what's not only keeping things active here, but also allowing for storm systems to make their way out of the Rockies and cross the United States. So overall, there's really a big domino effect in the weather pattern happening here. And it's all going to continue as we close out this week. Here we go into Friday, December 27th of 2024. That low that was right down here around the Ark-La-Tex, now pushing up into the Midwest as the day goes on. It is going to weaken as it does so. It's pushing up against a piece of energy in the atmosphere called a ridge. I'll show you more of what that looks like here a little bit later in the video. Overall, as it does so, it's going to kind of run into trouble and lose a lot of its energy, allowing for mostly just a general day of showers and storms for 90 to 100% of us here, heading from the Midwest down to the Ohio Valley to the southeast as it makes its way in an eastward direction on Friday. And then notice continued push of these storms into the west, heavy snow in the mountains, and really even through parts of central Idaho Friday afternoon. Pushing out of Friday through Friday night and into our Saturday. That low that's weakening down as it pushes into the Midwest, really just bringing light rain and a quick tail end burst of snow there into the Arrowhead in Minnesota. But we're going to see more energy pushing out of the Rockies, making its way down here into the southern United States by Saturday afternoon. That's going to mean we're going to begin to see our last big push of energy that's going to make its way now here towards the East Coast at a Saturday into Sunday get going. Starting in the mid-south Saturday afternoon, maybe some stronger thunderstorms as it does so. But look at what happens as we go through late Saturday heading into early Sunday. Models aren't in full agreement on this, but there's a pretty big consensus that most of Saturday heading into Sunday is looking like it's going to turn into a washout as you push out of the mid-south up into the Ohio Valley and the Northeast as our old low combines with this new energy. Look what happens as this new energy makes its way through late Sunday into Sunday night and Monday. This looks like a pretty potent band of rain and possibly some gusty winds making its way through the Carolinas and then up into the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and even the interior states of New England here. This is something that we're certainly going to have to track as this storm kind of becomes stronger as we finish it out late Sunday night heading into Monday. From there, we're going to begin to enter a little bit of a cooler pattern as the next low could be one of the final ones to actually come off the Pacific Northwest coast, diving through the Rockies, and this time taking a little bit more of a northward track. As it does so, we're going to see some cooler than average air begin to try and come in behind this storm, and that could certainly make things interesting as we push to the very end of December and into early January. First of all, though, we've got to get through this active weather setup, and giving you a breakdown of that using your Weather Prediction Center rainfall totals. This is just your rain from that initial low, especially as we go through our Saturday, December 28th in the morning here for the central United States. Look at this. A big swath of spots getting at least a half an inch of rain, but especially as you go down to the lower Mississippi Valley, more like multiple inches, and that's where we'll have that best chance of flooding. We're also going to continue to watch this push of several inches of rain, dumping big flood threats in the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California. And of course, in the higher elevations, it will fall as snow. And then with time, look at what happens by the time we go through Monday and Tuesday of next week, the active pattern in the east continuing, and all these rain totals shifting to the north and east, allowing for several inches of rain, possibly at least 2 to 3, as you go up here into the mid-Atlantic and northeast in many zones by the time we go out of Saturday into Sunday into Monday. That could certainly cause a brief flood threat as well. But before I talk anything beyond that flooding, and as we could see pattern shifts as we go towards January, I want to go ahead and break down the severe weather threat for the Mid-South Thursday. Here we go. Here's a look at my custom ONW severe weather scale so you can see what the threat level is as we push into our Thursday and Thursday night. It's a level 0 to 7 severe weather scale, and we are as high as a 4 in that far southeastern part of Texas. You can see it there pushing through like Tyler, Palestine, and then here into that far west central part of Louisiana. especially as you move through the yellows and into the oranges. That's where I'd be most concerned. But even in those dark greens and much more of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, watching some level of a severe threat as a localized severe weather event is looking likely for East Texas, West Louisiana, with a risk for all severe weather hazards Thursday and Thursday night. This will include wind, hail, and even the potential for a stronger tornado or two, as we are going to see a fairly favorable late season setup getting going. To break that down for you here, I want to go ahead and pivot things on over to Radar Omega so that you can get a look at what the HRRR model is projecting with our moisture in the atmosphere as we push into our Thursday afternoon. This is as we go towards that prime heating of the day, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Look at this setup. We're going to have a warm front lifting north right about right here. That's where I think the cutoff for the worst severe weather is going to be. We're going to have a bit of a cold front slash dry line, which is where severe weather potential ends on the west side, coming in with dry air pushing through west central and even the central parts of Texas. Kind of in that zone in between, right in here. It's what you call a triple point type of threat, where you've got a warm front moving north, low pressure system, and then the dry line and cold front moving in. And right in that area, kind of in the cross sections, that's where we're going to have to watch that best chance for severe weather, pushing out of East Texas and eventually into Louisiana as we go through our Thursday afternoon and evening. Now that you've seen the setup and the risk level, let's go ahead and push into the future radar with that HRRR model as we go through the day Thursday and into Thursday night over this region. First of all, as we push towards around noon, towards 1 p.m. Central Time, from Oklahoma City down to Dallas, we're looking at a possibility of some heavy rain and some storms, maybe getting some gusty winds and at least an isolated potential for a tornado going by this point in time. But overall, I think the severe weather threat's going to begin ramping up from where these storms are and then into points south and eastward. Notice some of this activity moving into this storm line from the south down here into southeast Texas, right where all of this warmth and moisture is coming right up into the storm line and moving right into it as we go towards, say, Tyler, Palestine, and Texas. I think that's where we're going to have one of the highest tornado threats, and the Storm Prediction Center might even elevate their risk for tornadoes. We could even see some stronger ones into the mid to late afternoon down here. We'll watch these storms as they push out of eastern Texas, even some of the damaging wind and isolated tornado threat up here into that Arcla-Tex border around Texarkana. Overall, though, the best chance up here is going to be for flooding. Best chance right in here is going to be that severe weather, I think, pushing even into the evening hours. Houston up to Lufkin in Texas sometime around maybe 5 or 6 in the afternoon and evening. And then here into Louisiana and south central Arkansas, it's going to be right around sundown and thereafter when these storms really begin pushing in at a heavier rate. From there, we see rain weakening down, but maybe some storms even in parts of Mississippi overnight. And then overall, going to have to kind of worry a bit less about the severe weather threat from there on out as it looks right now. All right, but now that you understand all of those aspects of the pattern that is on the way, I do want to break down not only this near-term setup, but also what's coming down the line with your mid-level pattern looking at the atmospheric setup. Oranges and reds on this map indicate where there's a ridge, warmer than average air, and in most cases up into the atmosphere as high pressure builds. Blues indicate your troughs where you've got dips in the jet stream and some cooler air, especially as you go up into the sky. And here we go as we push out of our Thursday into our early Friday. There's your general setup. You can see how storms are pushing through the west and then ejecting as weaker systems down here into the south central United States. What are they having trouble as they run into? Well, it is this big high-pressure ridge allowing for warmer than average air to build up into the central and the eastern parts of the country. With time, storm after storm, bring in rain, bring in some severe weather, bring in some flooding and gusty wind towards the eastern U.S., it's going to chip away at that ridge, and you can see it pushing away and being confined to the far northeastern zones by the time we go to the very end of December. As that happens, the door is open for all of this energy that's been stuck out in the west. Now they're going to have more room to work with. We're going to see more cool air actually following these storms as we close December and go into January, as well as the storm track goes like this. And once we begin to see the storm track moving like so, I think that transition between the ridge going into this cooler pattern into January is going to allow for not only a snowy setup as it originally occurs, then by this point in time, you've now got more cool air for a lot of folks. Even when things try to warm back up, like this GFS model showing in its solution at least, look at that, we might have even more cool air on the way. Climate Prediction Center, the experts there are saying this. The models are showing this. It looks at least cool with big pushes of these troughs. And when you've got more of these interactions between the troughs and the ridges trying to come back into the pattern, that does mean it could be more active. So does that mean a better chance of snowstorms? I think it's definitely better than it's been in December as we push into the early to mid part of January, at least some snow, not just fully dry. And I'll keep you updated on all of those individual little signals as we get closer. We don't want to track any specific storms this far out. But what I do want to track really quickly here is those exact temperatures that are forecasted by the National Digital Forecast Database in the coming days as we see this pattern transition occurring. First of all, here in the near term, we are looking at the big ridge. for the next at least 3 to 4 days. 50s and 60s into the mid-south for highs Thursday afternoon, and it'll be near 70 in the areas that will have to watch severe weather down there into Texas, Louisiana, and surrounding parts of the country. By Friday afternoon, even warmer for a lot of spots, and Saturday's the main day I want to focus on because by this point in time, we're looking at just a messy bout of activity with rain and a gusty wind, maybe even some isolated bouts of severe weather here into the eastern U.S. As this occurs, we're looking at 70s building up out of the Gulf Coast, turning to 60s, and then eventually 50s as you push north. But look at how far north the 50s are. Nebraska, Iowa, we've got southern Wisconsin into parts of Michigan even. That's crazy for this time of the year, well above average by at least 20 degrees, I'd say, in many communities. By Sunday, continuing with the warmth, but then as we go towards Monday and Tuesday, there's that transition beginning that's going to carry us into January. This is more normal, at least for the north central plains. Some 20s up there for highs Tuesday, and I think some of that cool air will continue to sink south, if not in the first couple days of January, definitely within the first 5 or 6. With that being said, that is going to be it for this video, but I want to go ahead and recap everything I just covered. I like to do this at the end so that everybody just kind of gets the general scoop, what you should have taken out of it. An active, warmer setup is persisting ahead, of course, as we finish most of December here. We're watching flooding, we're watching those severe storm risks that I pinpointed in the video. With time, changes will begin by the last 2 days of December, starting to try and trend colder as we go into January, and I think that will only get reinforced even towards mid-January, with better snow chances for a lot of folks as a result of that. I'll keep you updated on all of that future weather. Of course, if you hit that subscribe button right down below, I deliver consistent, accurate, and educational updates, and 2024 has just been such a great growth year for me. I'll probably talk about this more in some long, annoying speech towards the new year, but, just for now, I just want to thank every single one of you who's already subscribed and already hits that like button, all that stuff. I'll catch you in the next update, everyone, but until then, see ya.
One nation weather.